welcome to Children of the Watch. I'm your host, Alex Maxwell, and joining me as always is not Mac. Unfortunately, Mac could not be here tonight. He has storms in his area, and it's knocked out his power, it's knocked out his internet. So and the storms are so bad, like he can't go somewhere to join us, unfortunately. So we had to kind of like make a last minute call on whether or not, hey, do we reschedule this? Do I do this alone? What do we do? So we promised, hey, we're going to do this. So we're going to do it. So what is going to really help me out if you guys could be very active in the chat. I'll try to talk with you guys as we do this. This is our very first live stream we've ever done, and this is going to be exclusively on YouTube. This won't be on the podcast. Our next podcast episode is going to be the Attack the Clones breakdown for part 2. So this is just going to be like a YouTube thing, and we're going to try to do these from time to time, just kind of hang out with you guys, answer questions from our patrons. Tonight I'm going to be taking some questions from you guys in the chat as we just kind of go through the show and stuff, and we just wanted to hang out with you and celebrate May the 4th be with you. And so this is Star Wars Day, and so we just wanted to come and hang out. And like I said, unfortunately, if you're just now joining us, Mac could not make it because of storms in his area. It's knocked out a lot of power and stuff. So that kind of stinks. But I know he's really upset about it. He wishes he could be on it. But we both kind of made this call together to just go ahead and do the stream instead of rescheduling it and stuff, since it was already planned. And um, it's Star Wars Day. So, and I know tomorrow's like Revenge of the Fifth. I know that, but today's Star Wars Day. Unless you are an Orthodox Star Wars fan, then May 25th is Star Wars Day, which is the original date that Star Wars came out. So, yeah, I'm flying solo, but that's okay. You guys are in the chat. I'm going to try to be checking the chat from time to time. Yeah, Mac's doing good, Casey. I can show this, I think. Hope Mac's doing all right. He is doing all right. So he's all good. It's just no power, no internet. Streets are kind of dangerous with water and flooding and stuff. So just me tonight. So, but thanks for joining, Casey. Yes, 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. You guys are incredible. I mean, just the fact that we've got 1,000 subscribers, and this is technically, I guess, our 4th video we've ever done. I think that's just a testament to you guys, honestly. You guys are just the best fans in the whole galaxy. So thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you, Amy. And then, yes, Rural Farm Boy says, every day is Star Wars Day. That is very, very true. That every day is Star Wars Day. Yes. Did you watch The Bad Batch? Of course I watched The Bad Batch. I watched it a little bit before this stream, actually. And I'll get into that a little bit later, but we'll go ahead and kind of just do the business real quick. So if this is your first time watching us, maybe you've never watched or listened to Children of the Watch. We were formerly the Mandalorian Watch. We've changed our name to expand our scope as we cover all the Star Wars TV shows coming up. And specifically the live action. We kind of made a judgment call there for live action because we still both have jobs. So if this were our full-time job, we'd be covering the Bad Batch and any other Star Wars stuff, animated wise coming out. But we kind of had to make a judgment call there. So you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at COT Watch, and on Patreon, it's just $2 a month. I saw earlier in the chat that someone was kind of asking about that. You get access to extra bonus episodes. You also get access to the Discord, which the Discord is awesome. That's just $2 a month. So that's patreon.com/The Mandalorian Watch. Let's get into some stuff because there is a lot to talk about on May 4th. I know that there were some people maybe, and I mean, I guess I kind of feel a little let down that maybe there wasn't some live action news coming today. I was kind of hoping for it, but I mean, honestly, we've never gotten live action stuff before in the past on May 4th. It's just been kind of a day where, something like The Bad Batch or last year, The Clone Wars premiered. So I guess I was hoping for something like the Book of Boba Fett teaser or a Kenobi thing or even an Andor trailer, something like that. Um, but I'm not mad about it. I wasn't going in fully, hey, I know this is going to happen. Because I feel like if that were going to happen, that would have happened in the morning. I mean, we still have time for, I guess, a surprise, which how fun would that be? A surprise of something like that right on the live stream. I guess you guys get to see my live reaction and we can all experience that together. But it's pretty cool. So there is a lot of new Star Wars content on Disney Plus today. So obviously the Bad Batch, which we'll get to in just a second, but there's Star Wars biomes and Star Wars vehicle fly-throughs, which is just awesome. I don't know if you've watched the biomes one. I've watched the biomes one, and I wish I could put it on a loop. Basically, you just like the first one's like Hoth, and you see just Hoth and just everything kind of going on Hoth. It's awesome, like with Star Wars music and stuff. Mustafar's on there, Crate, Octo. It's just really, really cool. So if you like that kind of stuff, Sorgan, the Mandalorian, on there. So that's really, really cool. Omira, I wonder what she's doing right now. And then there's a vehicle fly through, which I haven't been able to watch that one yet. That one is, I guess it's taking you through different ships and stuff, kind of like the biomes. So I haven't got to watch that one yet, but it seems really, really cool. I wish there was some sort of repeat button on Disney Plus. Maybe there is that I'm not aware of. I don't know if there is some sort of repeat button. Maybe the chat can answer that. But if there were, I don't know. So yeah. Ooh. Before we get to the Bad Batch, let's look at this comment from Carolyn. There was at least confirmation that Mandalorian season 3 is filming with Pascal's set selfie. So hopefully spring 2022 release still possible. Yeah, that's kind of how I took that picture. I was like thinking maybe that was like a selfie from filming season 3. I mean, obviously that could have been a selfie from season 2 or 1, and he just posted it on Star Wars Day, but I kind of took it as, yeah, I think they're filming, or at least close to filming. Dave Filoni was on Good Morning America this morning, and they kind of asked him about Mandalorian season 3, and he didn't really say much. He didn't give much away. They did confirm that they're starting to work on Mandalorian season 3, finishing up the Book of Boba Fett, which is kind of like, where does that overlap happen? But it is pretty cool that, my worst fear, my worst nightmare is wrong. They are going to be filming Mandalorian season 3 right now. Like they're starting to film that now. So I'm really, really happy about that. I don't know if you didn't get to watch or listen to our Attack of the Clones Part 1 breakdown, we did mention that the actress Amy Sedaris, who plays Peli Motto, mentioned on a podcast recently she just left filming The Mandalorian. Now, maybe she meant the Book of Boba Fett, but she said The Mandalorian, so that kind of makes you think, okay, maybe they really are filming season 3 of The Mandalorian. So we'll see. That is really, really exciting. I don't know. That's really cool. All right, let's talk about the Bad Batch a little bit, okay? Because I just finished that, and I'm not gonna lie. Going into the Bad Batch, when it was first announced, when there was rumors about the Bad Batch, didn't really do much for me in terms of excitement level. I was really, really happy that other people were excited about the Bad Batch. Me, not so much. Like I was hoping like, oh yeah, I hope it's good. I hope people enjoy that. But the closer we got, I do feel like they made a really, really big push for the Bad Batch these last few days. Like they really were pushing the Bad Batch. And it got me a lot more excited for the series. And so, of course, I checked it out today. I went into it with really like zero expectations, low expectations, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I think what I'm really going to enjoy is seeing the dark times, that period between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, but not from a Jedi's perspective, because pretty much anytime we see that time period, besides Solo, I guess, but it doesn't really deal with the Empire and stuff like that. We don't we don't really see that from other people's perspective. So I'm really excited for that aspect of it, to see it, especially from a clone's perspective and all these different clones' perspective. That's going to be really cool. And I'm really excited because I think they're going to be telling the story too of why they phase the clones out and why we get just normal, everyday people, conscripted soldiers for the Empire, and so that's really, really cool. Um, I show some comments. When is Attack of the Clones Part 2? Is it this week? Unfortunately, no, it won't be this week since, we kind of planned this live stream. We weren't really sure if this week, like if tonight we would be doing a live breakdown of some sort of live action trailer or what. So we just kind of left this week open on purpose for this live stream and potential breakdown of that. But I think we're going to have a lot of fun despite no live action stuff. So part 2 is coming next week. And we kind of have to stretch that out because we've got a while till December. So yeah, it'll be next week. I'm really, really excited about part 2. Favorite member of the Bad Batch? I'm gonna have to go, I don't know, I guess Hunter. I mean, that sounds like, if they're the Power Rangers, he's the Red Ranger, I guess, and that sounds kind of like boring, I guess. But Hunter or Omega, I'm gonna go with those two. I think she's really cool. Thank you, Casey. Thoughts on the new retractable lightsaber? I need it. I need it yesterday. That would be really, really cool. That would be cool. Yeah, I love getting Tarkin's realization of conscripted soldiers, good solid connection to start with. I agree. Because that's a big question. I think a lot of people, even, people who are not as well versed in the extra stuff besides the movie, assume like even in The Force Awakens, those are supposed to be clones, or you know what I mean? Like they don't understand that those aren't all clones anymore. Not everyone's kind of on the same page with that. So, you know, not that everybody's going to be watching the Bad Batch, but I do like that they're giving that story of why make that transition anyway? Because that's always been my question. The clones are clearly better than Imperial stormtroopers. And I think this gets to rural farm boys Patreon question later, but like, why make that decision? So I thought that was really, really cool. Don't clones become purge troopers? That would make sense. I would say like people like, well, I don't want to give anything away. If you haven't watched The Bad Batch, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but yes, that would make sense. Wrecker, Omega. Yeah, really, really cool. I like Tech too. Tech is awesome. I like Tech as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed The Bad Batch. I'm excited for Friday for a new episode, and it's just nice to have new Star Wars content. Even if it's not like, not every episode has to be a grand slam. Like that is okay. It's just new Star Wars content, and I'm here for it. I love Star Wars. We all love Star Wars. That's why we do this. So that's why we like this day. So I'm super excited. So yeah, if you haven't watched The Bad Batch yet, I'm not going to spoil anything. No spoilers here because, some people haven't been able to watch it yet. Definitely check it out. It's pretty cool. I was very pleasantly surprised. The opening shocked me. I'm not going to say anything about it. It's a little different than there's a different story that we got from one character's perspective about the opening, and this was different. So we're actually, that's going to bleed into our conversation. Our main discussion point for this episode is going to be Thrawn's plan, and how we get to that discussion point. We're getting there in just a second. So it's interesting. The canon aspect of Star Wars, I think they're starting to realize they can't execute it the way that they want to, and that's totally fine. But basically, anything on screen is the canon version. How I'm taking everything else, like books, comics, like that, it's a version of the truth. It's like somebody else's, it's like secondhand story. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I approach it right now. So we'll see. Um, Thrawn. Yes, Thrawn. I'm Thrawn. There's a question from in our Patreon Q&A that I'm going to struggle with in terms of my core name and my Chiss name. So we'll see how that goes. I like how connected the Bad Batch already is to other parts of the galaxy. I agree. That's it's just really, really cool. It gave me some major Republic Commando vibes, which we will be reviewing on the Patreon. Me and at Cad's Bane Bounty, Rick Villanueva, we are breaking down books and stuff like that. And there's not a new High Republic book yet, but we're going to break down the first Republic Commando book on Patreon. And Bad Batch really reminded me a lot of Republic Commando. So pretty cool. Okay, let's jump into the discussion that I kind of had planned for tonight. Just I thought this would be a fun discussion that we could have. Just, we're hanging out on May 4th. Let's just kick back and have this discussion. And this is kind of what made me think of it first. So if you don't follow the comics, in the latest Darth Vader run in issue 11, it's revealed that Darth Vader is keeping Luke's hand that was severed in The Empire Strikes Back. And Palpatine states he can use it to make anything, right? And so this is kind of being like, there's a lot of speculation being thrown around that, okay, maybe Luke's hand is how Palpatine created Snoke, right? Everybody loves a good Snoke theory. I guess, I mean, that's possible, but what we just saw with the Bad Batch, they pretty much did away with a canon comic and did something a little different. I mean, it was similar, but it was different. So I don't know if we should take everything that we see in comics and books as like gospel truth in terms of like what actually happened. But it is interesting what they are doing in the comics in terms of, they're kind of hinting at the cloning aspect that we saw in Rise of Skywalker, and that made me really think about what we saw in the Siege in season 2 of The Mandalorian and what the Empire was growing in those vats. We speculated at first maybe that's what was inside the dark troopers. Maybe it was they were trying to make force sensitive soldiers. But a lot of people kind of speculate maybe this was Snoke. Maybe they were attempting to make Snoke. Dr. Pershing is attempting to make Snoke out of DNA that is force sensitive. So, they got Grogu's DNA and we're making these things. We don't exactly know if it was Snoke or something else. But it was pretty interesting. So here's what I want to do. I kind of want to just speculate with you guys. If you've been with us a long time, we love wild speculation. So we can have a lot of fun doing this in the chat on May 4th. And I think it's connected to Thrawn. Whatever Dr. Pershing is doing and Moff Gideon is doing, it is of my opinion that Thrawn is involved. And I'll get to why I think that in just a second. But I wanted to read Dr. Pershing's whole line, his whole kind of explanation of what he was doing in that episode, chapter 12, The Siege. And then we'll kind of talk through it. Okay. So I just want to reread that, just kind of refresh our minds so we get in the right state of mind here. So this is what Dr. Pershing said on that hologram when they're kind of looking at that thing, when the scientists tried to purge the drives and stuff when they come into the Imperial base. So this is what he said. Replicated the results of the subsequent trials, which also resulted in catastrophic failure. There were promising effects for an entire fortnight. That's 2 weeks. But then sadly, the body rejected the blood. I highly doubt we'll find a donor with a higher M count, though. I recommend that we suspend all experimentation. I fear that the volunteer will meet the same regrettable fate if we proceed with the transfusion. Unfortunately, we have exhausted our initial supply of blood. The child is small and is only able to harvest a limited amount without killing him. If these experiments are to continue as requested, we would again require access to the donor. I will not disappoint you again, Moff Gideon. Okay, so like initially, it really, really sounds like to me they were trying to make people who are not force sensitive. And that's not working. Okay, so like I kind of took it as that first. Another way you could take it is they cloned people and then tried to embed them with force powers. I think the next thing is, I think the next logical step here is that they're cloning specifically force users if they can. And we know from the Legends material, the very first trilogy Thrawn was in, that's what he did when he came back from basically the unknown regions and stuff like that. And he was trying to rebuild the Empire. His whole goal was to rebuild the Empire. And he started cloning Force users. He cloned Luke Skywalker, and he had an extra U, Luke. That's what made him evil. And so there was also a clone called a clone of another Jedi called Jor Sabath. I just get the sense that when we see Thrawn in the live action stuff, I think it's very possible his whole goal is to be cloning force sensitive soldiers. I think, or at least making force sensitive people. I think that's his plan. I think whatever was going on in chapter 12, The Siege, it is connected to Thrawn. Now, we know that last time we saw Thrawn, he was with Ezra Bridger, who is a force user. He's a Jedi. We don't know what happened to Ezra. We assume wherever they went together, but I don't think that they're together now. Like, I don't think Thrawn and Ezra are together now. We'll see, we'll see. So let's see. What do you guys think? Do you think Thrawn's plan is connected at all to what we saw in chapter 12, The Siege, what we saw in those vats? Do you think Thrawn has a plan of making force sensitive soldiers, clones, what have you? What do you guys think? I want to hear from you guys in terms of this. Here's a crazy theory. Thrawn will be blue. I agree with you there. Casey says, M count makes me happy. Yes, Metachlorians. I'm a big prequel fan. I thought that was a cool shout out too, of kind of like, hey, it's not in your face, but it's still a thing. It's the perfect balance to me. I like that. That makes me happy as well. Oh, give us Joruus already. I agree. Jor Sabath is a very interesting Jedi. It'd be interesting if like they brought him into canon. That would be a very interesting thing if they brought him into canon. Do you think Snoke could have been an actual natural being once, cloned beyond recognition? Yeah, I think so. I think it's very possible we saw a version of him in that vat during chapter 12, The Siege. That might be connected. Maybe Thrawn, like I said, is connected to that. Maybe that is Snoke or a version of Snoke. But yeah, I think he was something to begin with. Like, I think he was an original person to begin with that maybe came into contact with Palpatine, and Palpatine saw an advantage there, or Thrawn saw an advantage there. I don't know. Yes, 100%. Randy. Hey, Randy. Casey says, yeah, I'm with you on this for sure. Randy says, I want Ezra clones. Now, that would be interesting if they kind of went that route for the live action stuff instead of doing the Luke Skywalker, evil clone. What if there was an evil clone of Ezra Bridger? I know Jonah Marie Macias, good friend of the podcast, she would be kind of upset about that, I think. But an evil Ezra, an extra Z. Thrawn is experimenting with force cloning and also force repellent experiments is a la Salamaria. I don't know how to say that. I don't know. It's the little things that he would wear on his shoulders. Basically, I think it's the planet Merkur. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's this planet where these little lizards can repel the force because there's also like these predators on this planet that hunt with the force. So these adapted and basically they repel out the force. And so Thrawn knew about this and he kind of used that to his advantage so that people like Luke Skywalker couldn't hurt him. I think it's very possible we see those creatures in live action. We saw kind of a hint of them in Star Wars Rebels, kind of like a little shout out or whatever on his display, but it's interesting. And we know from the new novels, the Thrawn novels that are coming out now, that the Chiss Ascendancy knows how to, like, they have people who use the Force. They have people who basically navigate with the Force. And so Thrawn is aware of the Force. I just don't think he was fully aware of what people could do with the Force because they really only use it for navigation. I think after meeting Ezra and the Rebels crew, and then whatever happened with him and Ezra made him realize there is something like they can definitely do more, and we could use that to our advantage, right? I think it would be, this is just me. I think it would be super interesting if when Thrawn and Ezra went back into the unknown regions, Thrawn finds out that basically the Chiss Ascendancy is destroyed. His whole purpose was to get into the Empire to protect the Chiss. Well, if they're already destroyed, imagine Thrawn coming back after that. It's not going to be good. I think Thrawn works best as a villain. I think he works best as a villain. So E. Salamiri. Haha. E. Salamiri. E. Salamiri. E. Salamiri. It all comes down to corruption. Corruption. That's right. Corruption. Yes, the extra Z. I hope live action Thrawn gives us more objective view of Thrawn and not just the evil imperial. Exactly the opposite of what I said. We get from Rebels' viewpoint in Rebels. Yeah, I understand. I think there's more layers to Thrawn. I definitely think we need to see his intentions and everything. You know what I mean? Like his intentions for going into the Empire. I think it'd be really cool if they explain that in live action. But I still think he works best as a villain. He's just so chilling. He's just so chilling. Carolyn says, do you think the people hunting Grogu know about his healing powers? Ooh. That's good. Do you think that particular force power plays into their plan? That is, actually never really thought about that aspect of it, since we kind of saw Rey do the same thing, but maybe, like we're learning in the High Republic stuff that, people see and sense the force in very different ways. And so maybe that's something Grogu is especially good at. That's very possible. That is very possible. I like that idea. I like that. Joseph says, I like Thrawn's mysteriousness. It's like he's evil for the sake of it. Yeah. I love his voice. There's a lot of rumors going around that Lars Mikkelsen, the guy who voices Thrawn in Star Wars Rebels, will be playing the live action version of him. I'm all for that. If you're not familiar with Lars Mikkelsen, he is Mad Mikkelsen's brother, Galen Urso, also Lashif in Casino Royale. So I'm all for Lars Mikkelsen also being Thrawn in live action. I think that would be great. I think, by the time we see Thrawn in the time period of The Mandalorian and stuff, the age would match up and stuff. So I really like that. I'm looking forward to viewing Thrawn's latest collections. Yes, he's an art guy. He loves art. Me too. I'm excited to see what he's got. This is a good point. That got me thinking, do you think Palpatine was able to force heal? I don't think so. No, I think that's like a Jedi thing. I think that's set, like the Sith cannot heal. That doesn't come in their nature. The Sith, the dark side, it destroys, it tears down. I think, the light side, it heals, it brings people together, that type of thing. So, it makes you really wonder, like, how does the Force work? So, like, is it like a DNA type thing? Does Grogu have more of an inherent ability to heal people because of his DNA, or is it because of the way he accessed the Force? And just because you have DNA of him, would you be able to do the same thing? That's a really good question. Do you think we'll ever find out Yoda's species? I thought that's where we were gonna go that way with the Mandalorian in terms of finding Grogu's people. At this point, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. This is a great question. This might be the best question of the night. Any chance someone cloned Toro's corpse? Well, he's not dead. They thought he died. The Mandalorian intentionally shot him in a place that he would not die because he kind of likes Toro. The pit droids took him out there into the desert. He woke up. He's planning his revenge. So Toro's Revenge, season 3. But I could definitely see Thrawn thinking, I've got to clone Toro Calican because he's the best bounty hunter in the galaxy. I could see that. It would be so messed up if he did, leading Anakin down that path, trying to save Padme and never helping him. Yeah, I mean, Palpatine's just messed up. That's why he is the best Star Wars villain there is he's just a messed up person. This is interesting. Darth Plagueis was able to heal, at least that's what it sounded like in Revenge of the Sith. Maybe. How much of it was Palpatine lying, manipulating? The serpent in the garden. Is that, like, did they really say this? Is this, hey, I can help you here? Is he really going to, though? It's just all manipulation. It's just manipulation. Yeah, I want some Plagueis content. I agree. I think that would be really, really cool in the new canon. Maybe the Acolyte will touch on Plagueis stuff because it's towards the end of the High Republic. So we'll see. I don't know. It's really, really cool. But yeah, I kind of just think I was thinking this would be a kind of a fun topic. Thrawn's plan for the galaxy coming back. I don't think the galaxy is going to welcome Grand Admiral Thrawn with open arms when he comes back. And what we saw in the Jedi with Ahsoka and Morgan Elsbeth. Morgan Elsbeth is raising that planet for, like, basically, like, the way I understood it, they're building starships, they're building weapons of war. If they're doing that, I get the sense Thrawn's going to try to make a move on the galaxy when he comes back. When he's ready, Thrawn's going to make a move. He sees the power vacuum. He probably thinks the New Republic's super weak. He's going to try to make that move on the galaxy, in my opinion. That would be awesome, because then it's like the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Boba Fett, Rangers of the New Republic, Toro Calican. All of them have to band together and stop Grand Admiral Thrawn from doing whatever he's planning on doing. And it's really interesting, we're talking about thinking through, okay, is is Thrawn's plan connected to what we saw in Chapter 12, the siege, the things in the vat? Was that Snoke? Was that Force-sensitive soldiers they're trying to create, Dr. Pershing, all of that? The interesting thing that Dave Filoni said about season 3 of The Mandalorian when he was asked about it on Good Morning America was this. Something along the lines of something to do with the Force. Like there's going to be a lot of things that have to do with the Force. I can't remember the quote right off the top of my head. It just left me. So if you got it and you want to put it in the chat, make sure you do that. But basically, kind of hinting at maybe that there's going to be more Force stuff in season 3 of The Mandalorian, which is not what I thought that the direction they would go in. Or maybe I just mistook that quote, but I was kind of hoping that maybe they focus a little more on Mandalorian stuff in season 3 of The Mandalorian and leave the Force stuff to Ahsoka in the Ahsoka show, because that's a perfect place for it. Even the logo looks like the world between worlds. I hope they get really, really weird with Ahsoka. This is a good point. Brittany says Thrawn is going to fight the Grisk, which you learn about in the Thrawn novels. They're basically the new canon version of the Yuuzhan Vong. If you're not familiar with the Yuuzhan Vong, they're basically species outside of our galaxy that come in and invade, and they use living technology. They don't do that in this, but they are very brutal, like the Yuuzhan Vong, and they even kind of, if a lot of artists rendering makes them look like the same thing. That would be interesting too. If Thrawn ended up kind of being a good guy, that would be definitely a big surprise. Yeah, we'll see. This is a good question. Who do you think will be Thrawn's main adversary? Probably Ahsoka, but probably I think this, but possibly Avenger style team up in a few years. Yeah, I think of it like this. This is how I'm taking it. Thrawn is the Thanos of the Star Wars television world. Okay. And what we're seeing in all the Mandalorian type shows, not Obi-Wan and not Lando and not the stuff that, an Andor, maybe Andor. Maybe you can make some connections there, but those stuff are kind of separate. But the Mandalorian spinoffs and stuff, I definitely think you're going to get an Avenger style, Defender style Netflix thing. And Thrawn is the Thanos of the Star Wars television world. That's kind of how I take it. Do you think Gideon is done, or will he escape? I think he'll escape. He's too good. I mean, Giancarlo Esposito's too good of an actor to just be in handcuffs the whole time. I think, maybe you could do like a Jamie Lannister type thing with him, but he's just too good. I think he'll escape. For sure. I can't wait to see what happens with Din in the dark saber and if he uses it. I agree. I mean, that's something I don't think that Din wants to have, but I don't think Bo-Katan can have it technically until she beats him in combat. So we'll see. Filoni said, okay, thank you, Casey. Filoni said he can't say anything about season 3, but the Force will be strong with it. Let's just say that. I think that's a direct quote. So, I take it as like, oh, are we going to see more Luke Skywalker? More Grogu in season 3? I don't know. We'll see. More Grogu? More Luke? If they do more Luke Skywalker, I think you got to cast somebody, right? You have to cast somebody if they're going to do more Luke Skywalker. A couple more questions, then we're going to move on to the patrons' questions and answers. That will be fun. Do you think we'll see Han Solo show up in the Book of Boba Fett? Especially, okay, yeah, maybe. If they do like the flashback route, like we've been talking about, if they go flashbacks, how awesome would it be to see Alden Ehrenreich come back as Han Solo, meeting Boba Fett for the first time? That's basically make Solo 2 happen right there. You just get it in the Book of Boba Fett. That would be awesome. Oh my gosh. We got to have that happen. Dave, if you're watching this, you still have time. You still have time to make this work. We're counting on you. We're counting on you. Not to bring things down, but do you think we'll see Thrawn kill off a major character like Din or Ahsoka? I don't think he'll kill off Din or Ahsoka, but yes, I think a major character will die. Yeah, I could see that happening. I think actually Din could die. It makes sense if he died for Grogu or something like that. That'd be sad, but it makes sense. I can see the big final showdown as a movie. Yes. Yes. I could too. It's like a movie event. Definitely. I agree. Casting someone for Luke if he appears again in this timeline. Yeah, it's just like it was good. They did a good job making it look like Mark Hamill and stuff. But I think for an extended period of time, that would be very distracting. So you got to cast somebody. And I know like Sebastian Stan looks like Mark Hamill, but it doesn't have to be him. It didn't have to be him. All right, so let's get to our patrons' questions, and I will answer. Maybe Matt can answer some of these later at a different time, but these are the questions that I got on our Patreon, which you can join on patreon.com/The Mandalorian Watch. And it's just $2 a month for extra bonus episodes every month and new content and the Discord, which the Discord is awesome. So here's what Bridges Baker asked. She said, here's one, or he said, here's one for you. What is your favorite current Star Wars obsession? For me, I recently got into the Lego helmets and I'm collecting them all. Prepared a display shelf and everything. That's awesome. Picking up new releases this weekend. Who knew I'd be 50 and still playing with Legos? Yet here we are. Yes. I've never actually been into the Lego thing. But my Star Wars obsession right now. Honestly, the Alphabet Squadron books. I'm almost finished with the very final Alphabet Squadron book, Victory's Price. Man, I love those books. If you have not read those books, you've got to read them. They're kind of a slow burn a little bit, but they're so good. They are just, very character driven, which is what, that's what Star Wars is all about. Like everything else is like awesome, right? But like it's really about the characters. So the Alphabet Squadron books is what I'm really into right now. I'm almost finished with the last one. I'm kind of like delaying it because I don't want it to be over yet. It's very, very cool. Smells. Have you seen Bad Batch? Yes. When this live stream's over, you'll get a chance to kind of go back and watch and see that. Yes, I've seen the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch. Okay. Next question from our patron. Laura, hi guys. I'm relatively new to the Star Wars world, watched the movies growing up and was never super into it, but love The Mandalorian and your podcast. That's awesome. That's what we were hoping The Mandalorian would do. Get people into Star Wars. So thank you for the extra background info you give on the pod to help newer fans understand. What else Star Wars do you recommend watching and reading as a newer fan? First off, definitely Star Wars Rebels in terms of watching anything. I think Star Wars Rebels, like we talked about pretty much this whole live stream, Thrawn is in that. And there's going to be Ezra is in that. He's going to be in the Ahsoka show. It's going to be vital, I think, for people to watch Star Wars Rebels because it's basically going to be a sequel. The Ahsoka show is basically going to be a sequel to the Rebels show. It's some of the best Star Wars out there. Just awesome. So definitely Rebels in terms of watching anything. That is some of my favorite Star Wars content. Reading, love the Aftermath trilogy of books, the High Republic stuff, the new High Republic stuff that's coming out. I really have been enjoying that. Like I just said, the Alphabet Squadron books is just incredible. I love it. And there's a lot of great Legends material too. So stuff that's not considered canon at all. but still really good stories like the Darth Bane trilogy. I really enjoy the Darth Bane trilogy. So I would definitely check that out in terms of reading. Also, I wanted to ask about LGBT representation in Star Wars. You guys seem super inclusive and open minded, which is great. And that seems to be the case for lots of Star Wars fans. But I was wondering if you knew of any Star Wars content with good representation. And if not, do you expect this to be something that will happen in the future? I hope so. Thanks again. And I really enjoyed listening to the podcast. And I'm looking forward to the live stream. Thank you. Yeah, the Aftermath trilogy, um, Wrath Ben's, I forgot his last name. Yes, there's representation in new Star Wars content. And yeah, I think that's going to be something going forward for sure. Absolutely. Harry, here's Harry's question. Who are your favorite Rebels characters and why? I got to go with Kanan and Ezra. Especially Kanan. I love Kanan. Like when you heard Kanan's voice in Rise of Skywalker, and it seems like he had the loudest voice out of all of them. And by the way, Kanan matured very early. No spoilers, but Kanan matured very early, Bad Batch. When Kanan said what he said to Rey, I was like losing my mind because I love Kanan. I just love his story arc. I love everything about him. Ezra is so much fun. Ezra is, he is like the prototypical middle schooler. I teach middle school. Ezra is a middle schooler for sure. I'm going to kind of pause right here and bring this one up. I'd love to get in the Star Wars books and comics and whatnot, but I have no idea where to start. I would say start with the Aftermath trilogy. Start there. That's a good kind of starting launching point for me. That's where I would start. All right, back to the questions. Yeah, definitely Kanan and Ezra. I love all the Rebels characters though. Hera's great. Sabine's great. Zeb. They're all great. Okay. Joden here from the Discord. Here are the burning questions. When does the Obi-Wan Satine novel come out? Not soon enough is my answer. What is their hashtag? Satwan Obin. I'm going to go with I like Obin. I like that one better, I think. Where is Corky? He's dead. Who are his parents? We'll never know. Who should play live action Corky? I nominate myself. I think I would do a phenomenal job playing Corky. All right, so Jake Johnson from the Patreon says, "Hey guys, I have always loved the Star Wars movies, but never got into the animated content or the books until the first season of The Mandalorian came out, and I started listening to your podcast. Since then, I have watched all the Clone Wars and Rebels and have read a few of the books, and the shows and the books, audiobooks specifically, have now become some of my favorite content in Star Wars." That's awesome. My question is, what version of Ahsoka is your favorite? Clone Wars, Rebels, or from The Mandalorian? Honestly, I think I'm going to go with like the last season of Clone Wars, Ahsoka. I think that's my favorite. Okay, moving on to Robin. Awesome. I've been wanting to phone this into the voicemail hotline. How up to date are you guys on Canon Comics? Will you be including a summary of any of the Bounty Hunters storyline and upcoming War of Bounty Hunters crossover in your Book of Boba Fett prep episodes? Can't wait for the live stream. Yes, but that will probably be closer to December when we get closer to the Book of Boba Fett. We'll definitely go over that stuff. At least in our breakdowns or something, in one of the breakdowns when we get there in the timeline for sure. All right, James Parker Price. Hey guys, James PP from the Discord here. Star Wars has a way bringing back presumed dead characters. Maul, Palpatine, Fennec Shand. Who would you love to see return from beyond the grave? And in what content would you like to see them in? Love the pod, love the community. Toro Calican in a novel that I write. Honestly, no. If I had to pick, I guess Ben Solo. Kind of wish he didn't die. I was hoping that he would survive and have to kind of like face the consequences, maybe be in exile, that type of thing. But yeah. All right. Question from Will. Hi, guys. Big fan. And you are the first and only ones I follow on Patreon. Thank you. One of my favorites Star Wars universe characters is Chirrut, played by Donnie Yen in Rogue One. Could you see a younger Chirrut appearing in either the Obi-Wan Kenobi or Andor series? That's interesting. I had a glimmer of hope for this when I saw that Sung Kang had been cast in Kenobi. I would love to see Obi-Wan learn more about becoming a Force ghost from the Guardians of the Wills. I would love to see more Chirrut. I don't think that he'll be in either of those. I don't, I don't want to burst your bubble there, but I don't think he'll be in either of those. But I'd love to see more of him for sure. That would be, there's a lot to explore with the Guardians of the Wills. I think there's a lot of story potential there, for sure. Heather Murray, this is going to be such a hard question. Okay, here we go. What would your Chiss name be? Take your last name plus part of all of your first name plus part of all your middle name to make something cool sounding. Then derive your core name from the middle like Thrawn's. My core name would be Raythira. I don't even know. I guess Ron. Ron would be my core name. Thrawn's cousin Ron. What she wanted me to do is try to attempt to pronounce it. That's what she was trying to get me to do. But I refused to play those games. Thanks, Heather. Rural Farm Boy Anthony, how do you do? Alex and Mac, I've been a longtime listener of you both since your first Star Wars Escape podcast. Thank you. A long time ago. My question, how and why stormtroopers don't miss very much? Yeah, we see a couple biker scouts, but not many missed. Din Djarin in the Gazanti freighter, Chapter 11 are on Tython, or even if it was it hit the Beskar. Not to mention, how does the Empire hold an iron grip on the galaxy for nearly 20 years with incapable soldiers? That's something that I think the Bad Batch can explore in a really, really cool way. I think the Bad Batch can absolutely explore, okay, how do you go from clone army to the Imperials that we have that miss everything? I think the biggest thing is, how do they have that iron grip? It's like propaganda. It's the mind control aspect. Once you conscript soldiers from all over the galaxy, now you have families that are invested because their kids are now soldiers of the Empire. You kind of have to follow what they do because you have a vested interest in the Empire now. So I think that's kind of where they were leaning with that. All right, couple more. Cloden Skywalker, hey guys, Star Wars Rebels is my favorite Star Wars, so I was wondering what is your favorite Rebels episodes and characters? Mine are Family Reunion and Farewell and Ezra Bridger. Happy Star Wars Day. Thank you, Cloden Skywalker. Yeah, that one is my favorite episode. Family Reunion and Farewell. Also, Jedi Knight that's up there. I honestly, just the entire Rebel series is just incredible. And then finally, Amy Shepard asks, who are your favorite Star Wars characters of all time? You can only pick one each, so I'll pick one. Han Solo. That's my only, I just got to go with Han Solo, if I'm being honest. That's my favorite Star Wars character of all time. It's not who I think I would be like in the Star Wars galaxy, but he's who I kind of wish I was. Han Solo. He's so cool. All right. Well, I think that will just about do it. Just a little under an hour. This is a lot of fun hanging out. I know it kind of stinks that Mac didn't get to join us because of the storms that knocked out his power and his internet connection. Thank you to all of our patrons who asked questions. And guys, thank you so much in the chat for just, jumping in and helping out with the show and just making sure that, it wasn't just me talking to nobody. please make sure that you guys like this video, share it and stuff. It should be available after this live stream to go back and rewatch. This won't be on the podcast. This won't be on the podcast stream because there's so much going on in terms of what people cannot see. This is just going to be a YouTube thing. Sometimes we'll just do live streams for the YouTube. And hopefully you guys can tune in to these. I know I had a lot of fun. I hope one day when Matt gets to be with us, he can have a lot of fun on these too. I mean, you guys are just incredible. I hope you guys have had a great May 4th. I hope you weren't too disappointed we didn't get any live action news. But I think that stuff is coming. And go enjoy the Bad Batch. It is really, really cool. It's a lot of fun. Next week, we are doing our part 2 breakdown of Attack of the Clones. So make sure you tune in for our Attack of the Clones breakdown. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're getting into I Hate Sand, that kind of stuff. We're getting to those moments. It's going to be a lot of fun. We give Attack of the Clones a hard time, but it's a fun movie. I mean, when you can just take it lightly and stuff. So I'm really, really excited for that. So make sure you are looking for that next week as we break down Attack of the Clone, and then be looking very soon for our Mandalorian History 101 episodes, which will be a very different format from what we normally do. I'm really excited about those. Those will be really, really fun. So thank you guys for joining once again on the chat, and our patrons for their questions and stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you like this and share it and stuff like that. And in the meantime, keep the watch.